can't. Why did I think Vermont?
Because Vermont seems more like I look.
I think Mark Covino is Vermont, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's what it was.
Fan called Death.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's in Vermont. You're in Connecticut. Okay.
He's a pussy, so naturally he's.
All right, let's do
he's
this.
awesome.
All right, let's do this.
Yep.
Theme song on.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the HorrorBull Podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Drew.
And with us tonight is a very special guest, first for the HorrorBull Podcast, survivalist Tex Montana. How you doing tonight, Tex?
I'm doing all right. What was that fucking song, though? That just sounded like a bunch of noise. What was that? You trying to keep bears away from the podcast?
That's
It is.
exactly.
We are trying. Yes.
It's
that'll
actually
fucking do it.
It's a metal song. You're not a fan of heavy metal?
There's only one kind of music, and that's Johnny Cash.
I'm drinking from a Johnny Cash mug right now, so I kind of agree with you.
Tyler lives in Nashville. He's been kind of
countrified.
What are you drinking, Tyler?
I'm drinking. I'm actually drinking mint tea.
That first of all, I was going to say Johnny Cash, if he were alive, would smash that fucking mug over your head just for having a mug of him. But the fact that there's lemon tea in it, he wouldn't even know how to kill you.
I don't think so either. I think he'd actually use the shards. He'd break it and then take a shard from it and stab me in the throat.
And then he would eat the shards so that his voice stayed as deadly and gravelly as it was when he was nearing the end.
And
Absolutely.
then he'd flee down to Juarez, Mexico, and then get caught.
Right on. Hey, so tonight we have a great this special guest, Tex Montana, survivaler.
Yeah.
Reality TV show host, his own show, Tex Montana Will Survive. Been in the news a lot lately, but we're not going to address that now. What we're going to do is talk about Tex. We're talking about a film called Backcountry tonight.
Yeah.
I was told we weren't going to talk about me being in the news.
It's fine.
Well, there's an elephant. We have to talk about the elephant. It's not a bear in the room. It's an elephant. We kind of have to chat about it for just a second. And,
we're going to save it to the end because all three of us are huge fans of yours.
I think it's bullshit personally. Like, I'm a huge fan of yours. I don't truck with that kind of stuff, but we're having you on. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
This is a real deal. And if there were an elephant in this room, you better know I'm the one who could handle it.
I don't doubt that. As I watched your show over the years, I've thought, man, I never want to get into one of those situations where I have to survive alone without Tex Montana because, honestly, I've been kind of cityfied.
Well,
I'm weak.
Yeah, well, I really like his book. It's like my Bible when I go camping.
Yeah, exactly.
It better be.
I don't go anywhere without it. Whenever I have to tie a knot or heat up coffee in a campsite.
I'll tell you, true fact, ain't no person ever been found dead in the wild who also had a copy of my book in their bag.
That's absolutely true. I mean,
that's it right there. The proof's in the pudding.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, Backcountry, directed by, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew McDonald?
Adam, I believe.
Adam McDonald.
names.
As a fan of metal and of 80s rock, he also directed the Def Leppard story, Hysteria.
Oh, really?
A made-for-TV movie. I was very impressed by that.
I did not.
Sorry.
That was a VH1 movie.
I'm sorry. He didn't direct it. He actually was in it as Rick Savage.
What?
Yeah. He was Rick Savage in the made-for-TV film Hysteria.
I thought you said he...
Def Leppard story. Are you a fan of Def Leppard, Tex?
I just like the dude with the one arm who drums with his foot. Is that truth?
That's impressive.
Hey, I can't even drum with two arms. So
right.
If you're
that's the band, right? With the one arm dude.
That's true fact.
Exactly.
How did he lose his arm? An alligator?
Yes, an alligator in a car wrecked into his arm.
Was it a car wreck or wasn't he beating his wife and then
he beat her so hard his arm fell off?
Yes, it was the drumming. He thought she was a drum set. He was
an aggressive drummer.
He had like an Ozzy moment where he said, "We must get rid of you," and then he drummed, but only with his left arm. So that's the one that fell off.
Well, at least he had two.
Right, and it didn't keep him. He changed drumming for people in the 80s, right? Like,
can you imagine if he started out as a one-armed drummer and then lost his arm?
No.
Right. The no-armed drummer. How would you even do that?
his head, he would just become a really great headbanger.
Beat your face into your toms. How else would you do it?
There was a Mr. Show sketch about that. It was a group called Indomitable Spirit, and the drummer had no arms. It was just all feet. He was all feet.
That makes sense.
I don't remember that sketch. What season is that from?
Season.
The one Brian just made up in his head. You know,
Yeah,
there's
it
no
wasn't
telling.
made up.
It's from the upcoming season of it.
Yes.
He made up.
Yes, the upcoming season of Mr. Show.
So Backcountry. Let's go around a little bit and talk about what we think about the movie before we dive into what was your overall impression, Brian? What did you think about Backcountry?
I thought Backcountry, much like most of the film, like horror films we like from filmmakers these days, very slow burn.
Yeah.
It was a very, I know that Ty West doesn't like that term, but it was a great build up to what eventually became a horrific, very horrific.
Yeah. Very.
Mauling.
It was a very horrific mauling.
Yeah.
Are there unhorrific maulings?
There
though?
are very unhorrific maulings.
There can be mild maulings. I think you can be mildly mauled.
I mean, don't.
I've been mauled in all facets of aggression, from just a gentle mauling to all the way up to almost dead mauling.
I think.
Are you so used to being mauled that at a point you're kind of like tickled by it?
It's like a mosquito at some point. You don't even realize you're getting mauled anymore. You just deal with it.
You're just like, is that a bear? Oh, is that a mosquito or is that a bear? I don't know. I can't even tell.
Well, most of my maulings happened in the early part of my career, but now they know me. I got a reputation.
You got the smell of the bear on you. They don't mess with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What about Darth Maul?
I don't get the reference.
Darth Maul was a character in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom.
Oh, is he the dude with the red and the black on his face?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Wasn't he also in Insidious?
Yes,
They were both. Yes,
he
they
actually
were
was.
in City. Yeah, he got killed in Episode 1, and then they're like, we got to reuse
Weird
this character.
crossover.
Yeah, it was a very weird crossover, but he did show up in Insidious. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's like it's kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Once he got killed, he showed up as a ghost in the third one. So I feel like Darth Maul was killed and then appeared in Insidious as his ghost form. That's what I think.
You can't go wrong with a ghost form.
Ghost form. Ghost form is actually my new metal band I'm coming out with.
Y'all need to stop talking about ghosts. If there's one thing Tex Montana is afraid of, it's ghost.
I know. Our house is actually haunted. So
Well, as a
Get it out.
as a survivalist, though, I mean, ghosts would be scary. I mean, you've come up against the worst that there is in the wild. So
In nature, what
in
about super
yeah,
nature?
nature doesn't fuck around.
Natural, supernatural.
Well,
Instead
first off, let me correct you right there for a second. There is nothing worst in nature, okay? Nature is nature, okay? It's just doing what it does. Okay, you can't say that's the worst animal or that's the worst thing that nature does. It's just, it is what it is. If it's bothering you, it's because you're in its fucking face and you need to get out. Am I allowed to curse on here?
You're totally allowed to curse.
See,
Yes.
all right, I don't know if this is like some morning like shock jock show or something.
No.
I was on one time. It was like Cooter and the Bog Man, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna be able to curse. No, I said one thing, and then they fined them or some shit.
the FCC doesn't truck with that kind of stuff. I got to be honest. Yeah, we're FCC free. We've been FCC
I'm sorry,
free.
I cut y'all off about about the movie. You talking
No,
about
this is-
slow
yeah,
burn?
No, that's what you're.
You can cuss all you want.
And you can cut us off as people are here to hear you this episode. We're here every
we're
time.
here to talk about film, which is exactly my expertise.
Excellent.
It's
Other
not,
than
actually, but I don't even know how I got on this fucking show.
other than survivaling, movies are your. I mean, I've heard that you spend a lot of time out in the wilderness thinking of movies that you'd like to make, mostly about wilderness.
Yeah, I had a couple ideas. I had a few pitch meetings, and it was mostly just about me being in the woods. And then it just was just like, well, hold on, I'm already doing that. It's my show. So I kind of just reeled it back in and said, forget it. Forget I said that, HBO. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
You're like, hey, HBO, trademark, Tex Montana will survive. Every
No.
idea you had. No?
No.
No. They don't go for that in the big meetings.
It's not even about, I have it in my contract where I can make deals with all networks. Okay, so Tex Montana can be on 5 or 6 networks at a time because you can't get an exclusive with me because that means I'm only getting paid one time. I get paid 7 or 8 times.
So
it's on all the networks.
It's more like Tex Montana will synergize, really, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Trademark the HorrorBull Podcast.
So, Drew, what'd you think about the movie?
I thought for such let me look at my notes here. I thought there were so many positives going on with this. I was really kind of disappointed with how generic some of it was. Like, I mean, it fell into the whole of way too many genre tropes. I felt that were unnecessary. Like, I mean, even when it starts out with the beginning with like, why does the trail have to be closed? And and deserted and all these. I mean, and it just falls into all these things too. He gets injured really early. I mean, you have all these things, but I thought there's so much going on. I thought the performances were fantastic. Yeah. I thought a lot of the setting was gorgeous and ominous. I really enjoyed the concept of it as well. I mean, I love killer animal movies. It's always been one of my favorites. And I thought a killer, black bear that wasn't done in a sense of like a sci-fi movie, one like called Black Bear or something, or
Black Bearmageddon,
Bearnado or something.
Well, see, that's the thing that confused me, see, because I wasn't aware that all horror movies were not supernatural. Oh. So first thing off, I'm thinking that old man at the desk, he's the bear.
Right?
He's got to be the bear because he's all ominous and it's like music, and he's like, yo, sure you don't need a map? And I'm like, that's the bear right there. He's a werebear. Nope, it was just a regular bear.
Yeah. Just a regular old black. How would you rate that bear? Would you say, like, scale of 1 to 10, where is that bear rank for you?
That bear, I mean, it was a decent sized black bear, but first off, I thought we were going into a grizzly bear movie, so already you're dropping down a notch on the scary bear pole.
Right.
Grizzlies and polar bears, they at the top. But black bears, if you just puff up your chest a little bit and give them a howl, most times they'll back off, and they never did that. I don't think they ever did that in this movie. They never once just said, get the fuck away from me, bear.
No.
That bear might have been like, whoa, hang on a second.
That's true. Hey, wait, that actually is interesting because it leads me to my first question. As on your adventures, have you ever brought bear mace?
Actually, no. And I saw that gigantic fucking can of bear spray she had. I was just like, that's a waste of time. You know what I use for bear spray? My own urine.
Makes sense.
It does make sense when you think about the fact that animals are territorial, right? So I just piss on the ground wherever I'm sleeping, piss right around it, and a bear comes by and he goes, whoa, there's another bear here. There's a bigger, darker creature in this area. I'm just going to go the other way.
It's very similar to my nocturnal activities. Usually when I go to sleep, I just piss around the bed. I'm like, nobody else better come in here.
And how many times have you been attacked by a bear in your bed?
0.
Once again, proof pudding.
Makes sense.
One time in college, a guy I lived with, a roommate, he brought a girl home from downtown. They went out drinking, and he brought her home, and they hooked up and fooled around. And in the middle of the night, she got up naked and squatted next to his bed and pissed everywhere. Maybe she saw a bear. That's all I'm saying. That up until this moment, we just thought she was drunk and crazy, but maybe there was a bear. That's all I'm saying.
She was in my head and knew my fetishes.
Or maybe
she's just a free spirit and she doesn't adhere to societal norms. Who gives a shit? Just piss where you want to.
I can get with that, I guess. Yeah.
There's always someone to clean it up.
Yeah, in a house.
Someone will always clean it up.
Even if it's just you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I clean it.
It's just you.
When my
or
dog.
You know what? Leave it. Leave your scent. Leave it. Let it fester.
It's natural. I mean, there's nothing more organic than pee.
It's sterile.
Maybe what she was doing was telling every other girl that your roommate made brought you home was like, "Hey, watch out."
That's a good theory too. I mean, he wasn't much of a catch, but shit, she was his. Now? Yeah, like maybe she was afraid he was a bear. He was quite hairy.
Are they married?
No, they're not married.
Oh,
it was a one night thing, so they didn't date.
Did he ever do the same thing in his room again?
have a girl pee on the ground? No,
Yes.
never, not once.
There you go.
Well, maybe that was just her way of seeing if he was worth her time. You know, if you piss on the floor first night and he comes back, all right, he's in it.
Let's go.
You know, that's kind of like my chicken wing. I used to have a chicken wing test when I go on a date. You know, first dates, you always go out and you want to look nice. No, I get a giant pile of buffalo wings and I eat while I'm talking, and the sauce gets all up in my face. It's all over my hands. And if she ain't turned off by that, maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
Okay. Good test.
It's kind of like the old inverse of like, if you love something, set it free. Yours is more like if you love something, eat chicken wings.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I think that could be a t-shirt.
Pee on the ground.
Right.
Or
Like Eric Balfour did, just right at the campsite. Didn't even give a fuck.
Hey, listen, has there ever been a movie where Eric Balfour shows up and good things happen?
No.
No.
I've only seen him in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and this,
No.
as far as I know. What else is he in?
Well, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the first thing I remember him from, and Skyline. He's in that. He's in 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under.
And pretty much, the answer is no. Everything I can think of him in, bad things happen.
As soon as I saw Eric Balfour, I was like, some bad shit's gonna happen.
I was
Yeah, the first bad thing was his accent.
Oh,
Boom.
I agree 100%. That was going to be
Crush.
my first question. Where did that come from?
well, just why? It
He
was
was-
an unnecessary addition.
That's the thing. I feel like they cast Eric Balfour, and his contingency was, I'll do it, but I got to do this Irish brogue that I've been fucking working on for like 6 months for no reason. Like maybe he had a play that he really wanted to be in, and then he was working on it, and then he didn't get cast, and he's like, well, I did all the work. Now I'm going to use this fucking thing.
Yeah,
He's like, if they won't cast me in Game of Thrones, by God, I'll make my own Game of Thrones.
So I'm
Right.
guessing there aren't a lot of Irish, tour leaders in the Canadian.
And the main
Woodlands.
character addressed that too. He's like, what, the woods of Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly my point. Hold on. Eric Balfour is not Irish, correct?
No.
It's not.
As far
I
as I
looked it
know.
up to make sure.
Was there anything about his character being from Ireland that was necessary to the story?
No.
No. So they also had to actually call out the fact that I can't believe he's from Ireland because we're in the woods. Where are you from in Ireland? Is that near New Mexico? Isn't that what he said? One of the fucking jokes?
You're right.
So
Yes.
all these things they had to build in for no reason so Eric Balfour could do a fairly okay Irish accent.
Fairly okay. Yeah. I don't understand that either. Like that was if it's not there for the plot, like this movie needs to be really tightly shot. It's right at 90 minutes. So anything that doesn't really serve the movie is really distracting. And his accent is definitely like, it was the first thing where I was like, mate, because I was really into this movie in the beginning. I was like, I see where they're going with this. That was the first thing where I was like, I don't know if that's like, who's got their hand on the till here, because this doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's not even him just being Irish. I thought the movie you were setting up, it's ominous enough. It's going to be nature. I don't know that we need to sit there and throw this weird wild herring in for a second. It's like, or is it is it going to be some bad guy that's the problem? I mean,
Yeah.
we know if you've read anything about it, it's going to be a bear.
Here's
It's
the thing I
a
did.
fucking bear, right? That's the whole
Yeah.
thing I was thinking too. If anybody had any balls, the only thing that would have made this movie great is if someone had the balls to market it as a romantic dramedy without ever hinting that a bear was ever anywhere near this fucking story, right? And then, so the fact that you're going in knowing that you're about to watch a bear movie, it's like, there's bears in these woods, and she's holding up a bear pamphlet, and she's got bear spray, and there's a bear footprint. And it's like, we know it's a bear movie. We get it. There's going to be a bear. All of the things. Oh, don't worry. There ain't no bears around here. You're not going to need that spray. Yes, you are, because we clicked play on a bear movie. We know it. We know it's going to happen. Now, if we did not know, if we thought this was just like a Joe Swanberg fucking like dramedy fucking mumblecore movie, and then someone got their fucking entire body shredded by a bear, that would be the coolest fucking thing I ever saw. But no, it was just like, I know I'm about to watch a movie where someone going to get eaten by a bear at some point. And then guess what?
Like, I think
Someone did.
I agree with you 100% on that.
I'm sorry I ranted a little bit there, but goddamn.
Well, no.
Do I need to direct movies too?
I think so. I mean, to get some credits in there.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
No.
Somebody needs to get that director on the phone, get him drunk, and just ask him one question. did Eric Balfour force you to let him use an Irish accent? That's all. That's the only fucking thing I would ever ask that guy. I mean, if I had one question, I'd ask him some other shit. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but that would be the one. One question.
Rick Savage in the Def Leppard movie, he knows how to. He gets it.
He knows accents. Maybe it was a callback to the Def Leppard movie because aren't they from England or Ireland or somewhere?
They're straight up English.
They're straight
It
up.
is
they're
funny
straight up
though
English.
that I immediately assume that it's a weird fucking ego thing for Eric Balfour, but maybe the director was like, "You got to do this with an Irish brogue," and he was like, "Are you sure? Because I don't see how it's necessary," and he forced him to do it.
Yeah.
You know, let's give Eric Balfour a little bit of credit. Maybe he had to come up with that on the fly because he needed the role.
Yeah, maybe he didn't see anything to the character. I mean, he's kind of a shallow character. Maybe he's like, hey, people will take this guy seriously if there's an Irish brogue in there somewhere. Because
First
people
off, are
always
we
do.
talking spoilers here or no spoilers? I don't know.
We're spoilers. We are spoiling the shit out of it.
Yeah.
All right, so spoilers.
There's
Here
a
we
bear
go.
attack.
I just want to make one quick point about Eric Balfour. Am I the only one who realized at the end of this movie that the main dude, the boyfriend, who gets his entire fucking body shredded and absolutely decimated by a bear? By the way, we did say spoilers. He gets the fuck eaten.
Yes.
Am I the only one who realized that he's the Baxter?
Oh, he's totally the Baxter.
But that's insane. Eric Balfour is the one she's supposed to be with. She crawls up onto the shore and Eric Balfour's there, and you realize that whole movie is like, oh, the guy who's going to propose to her and took her out of the woods. No, he's the guy she got to get away from. He gets eaten, and then she goes and her fucking savior's the fucking Irish weirdo from the middle of the night.
No, I think that was one of my comment, like my thoughts too. Is like, man, she has just this whole movie's just been about her getting back to that dick.
Yeah, it is.
Super muscular.
She is a better looking Hilary Swank.
But I mean, just like her back when the
Yeah.
skinny.
I thought that too.
In my notes, I have she looks like Hilary Swank if Hilary Swank looked more like a woman.
Yeah, and her boyfriend looked more like a young Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I have here too.
In the firelight, he looked like a young Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, he did. He
I
looked
had
like
Alfred
those things.
Molina mixed with Enrique Iglesias
No.
Really? Okay.
because he could be her hero.
I
baby.
knew it.
Shut up.
Yeah.
God.
See, I wish they remade this movie right now with Hilary Swank and Enrique Iglesias. Shot for shot remake. Gus Van Sant directing Hilary Swank and Enrique Iglesias in Backcountry.
Still Eric Balfour though.
Still
Still
Eric
Eric
Balfour.
Balfour.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Or Colin Farrell.
With a Scottish
Without
accent.
an Irish accent. Colin
Eric-
Farrell with an American accent.
Yeah.
Right.
there's-
Yeah,
that would be it. Yeah.
I can see.
It makes
Chewing gum a lot the whole time, like in my.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Hello?
Anything but the movie.
Hey, we lost you for a second. Or,
Who?
Ooh.
Oh, I think you lost me for a second.
Oh,
Sorry.
maybe you. Yeah.
There's going to be a blank spot right there.
You know
That's my
what?
fault.
I'm never lost, so I don't know who got lost.
You're
Exactly.
you are a natural true north, my friend.
Let's get to another question we had here was for Tex Montana as a survivalist. Do you prefer your wood excursions to be solo, or do you like a little company?
Solo all the way. Now, let me tell you, the first I knew from the get-go on this movie that motherfucker or both of them was doomed. Why? And I'm going to get flack for this, and they always tell me not to speak my mind, but you know what? I'm tired of shutting up, okay? You can't bring your lady. You can't bring your lady on a deep backcountry trek. Now, it's not to say that a lady can't survive on her own, but once you put those kind of relationship feelings in there, your brain ain't focused. And case in point, Timothy Treadwell.
Which is what this movie is based on. They claim.
Timothy is it? Is that what they said based on true stories? The Timothy Treadwell
I
story?
read somewhere is that was the inspiration, which I thought that's a stretch of an inspiration.
That's ridiculous.
That Grizzly Man?
Yeah, Grizzly Man.
Grizzly Man. So that motherfucker lived inside basically a coven of grizzly bears for 13 years, and his girlfriend comes out and they both get eaten. And that's the fucking truth.
That is the absolute truth. What
you know why?
You're right.
Because Timothy Treadwell couldn't focus on the bears and see the subtle nuances and the shift in their attitudes, because he's focused on whether or not his girlfriend has a comfortable pillow to lay her fucking head on, and then boom, they're both dead.
I will say, yeah, like as far as that goes, the cell phone, he was so focused on keeping her from her cell phone that he took it away from her. Like didn't let her know. And so I think, yeah, totally. He if he had just been focused on the mission, which is to survive, he would have kept the cell phone. But I do think it was a good way to keep cell phones out of this movie, because that's usually the death knell for a horror movie. Like, how do we get rid of the cell phones? But people are always on their cell phones. So if you want to make it about the relationship, take the cell phone out of the picture. Yeah.
I mean, well, I gotta say, he didn't leave her cell phone in the car. The writer-director did.
That's true.
I mean, it's one of those times. It's one of the only times where I felt, just pull out the phone and not get a signal, because that's what's going to happen. That's what happens in all fucking movies. Yeah. But that probably would have happened in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just pull it out. Instead, you got him making a ridiculous fucking choice. And you know what? If you leave the cell phone in her pack and she starts going to it, now you have more interrelationship strife, right? She can't leave the phone in the bag. And then you can just leave Eric Balfour off to the side, and the fucking phone can become Eric Balfour.
The phone is Eric Balfour, and
it's an
equally as good Irish accent on the phone.
Yeah.
That's
See how
Irish. I know I got it.
I got, because you bring it up at the end like it's a question.
Yeah.
Like, Nokia?
No,
that's the Irish accent. That's all it is, just a question at the end of everything.
I thought they made that boyfriend so unsympathetically idiotic, between the I don't need a map to the I got rid of your phone to the, it's just like,
if you really want your bear spray, I'm going to clip it on your belt, but you're definitely not going to need it.
Wink, wink.
Or you brought a road flare? Ha.
You're so silly. You silly woman. That's the wrong kind of flare.
But I do agree with you to the point of, like, as I watched this movie, I thought to myself, like, the last thing I want if I'm on a backcountry hike is the added stress of having my fiance or future fiance come with me, because that leads to nothing but fights.
Well, none of the scenes where they were like trying to like get it on, did that even seem like a comfortable place to? I was like, I don't know that.
I imagine bedding many women in the woods. Would you prefer to be solo, or would you like to have a lady with you?
Well, first off, I don't know why all of our voices are doubling right now. Do you guys hear it?
Yeah, I was just ignoring it.
Mind,
You're just ignoring it?
I don't hear it on my end. Maybe.
Do you hear it?
I don't hear it.
No.
I don't hear it on your end either.
It's gone.
Oh, wait,
now.
It's gone. No, you still sound like shit. You sound all right. I sound great. I don't know.
You
what
always
you guys
sound
are doing on
great,
your
though.
end.
It's the internet.
You know how you can fix this?
How's that?
Take all your fucking stupid, silly microphones and your dumbass computers, go outside your house, look for the closest fucking copse of pine trees, walk into it, and find yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't know how many times this last week that I've thought.
When you start hearing your voice doubling out there, it's because it'll be bouncing off the walls of nature and coming back to you, crystal and clear.
He's almost convincing me.
I know.
Listen, I'm already on the edge of throwing away all the technology.
But you're going camping this weekend.
I am going camping this weekend. You're right. I watched this film thinking, man,
you're going to die.
He's taking his kid.
I am taking a kid.
Oh, all right. You might find some inner strength then.
Brian.
Isn't it funny how that changes? Like, if I was just taking my lady friend, I'd be like, oh, you're going to die. Kid, oh, it's a coming of age story. Yeah. I don't doubt
it's Whitewater Summer.
Exactly.
I thought this movie was a really dark version of Whitewater Summer after he got injured.
I'm sorry, Whitewater Summer was a dark version of Whitewater Summer.
Yes, it was. It entirely was.
There's no redeeming part to Whitewater Summer.
Except for the fact that it's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best. Like, there's no upside to it. Well, there's no positive side to it. It's all dark.
I also like Survival Quest, if we're talking about movies.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh. Good.
Hold on, was Kevin Bacon in Whitewater Summers? Was he the same character he was in The River Wild?
Pretty much.
Yes.
I like to think that.
A few years later.
People thought he was actually escaped convict, but I like to think
I like to think that Kevin Bacon.
Well, did the guy from Whitewater Summer go to prison because he did all that
Exactly.
shit to those kids?
Yes.
Then he got out, and then he kidnapped Meryl Streep and her family.
I think so. That's what I think. I think that the outset is that he got back to society. He was arrested and put away for child endangerment, and then that's what, instead of learning his lesson, he went the other way. He went completely crazy.
Weird reverse titles: The River Wild, Whitewater Summer 2. Yeah. One of those weird reverse.
There you go. That's the problem with our high incarceration rate, right? You put a guy like that in prison, and then he doesn't know what to do when he gets out, except go do more outdoor crime.
Like mud.
I totally think that. I think that what we're missing now is George Lucas come along and give us the middle part of that, like what happened when he got incarcerated after Whitewater Summer to what happened in the River Wild.
Why would Lucas
He's trying to throw Darth Maul into this world as well?
I try to throw Darth Maul into most things.
He actually has a shrine to Darth Maul in his bathroom
I do.
above his toilet. That's really the only place Darth Maul deserves to be.
It's on my
Oh,
bed.
boom.
It's above my bed too, but it says above my bed it says the Darth Ball.
So to answer your question, yes, I love to fuck in the woods.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Circling back to that. Well,
Is this like when, so to get a little more detail, if you don't mind, is this pre-hiking or after hiking? Because in my experience has been, once you've hiked all day, the goods are pretty rotten down there. So is that something that you enjoy as a adventurist?
I just like your choice of words is rotten, because normally when things are getting all sweaty down there, I use the term ripe.
yes.
Things are getting ripe, and you know what it means when something's ripe? It's good to eat. Put it in your mouth.
Touche. You're right.
Rotten does not mean that.
You're right.
Yeah. Brian, what's happening down there with you? Because,
When somebody
right.
says, "Hey, you're smelling ripe," I'm like, I know. Perfect time to eat me.
it's ripe for plucking. Am I right?
I mean, after a good long hike, and you are you're just stewing in all your juices. That's just Mother Nature coming out and saying, I am here. I am an animal. You are an animal. Can't we smell each other's pheromones? Now's the time. Right now. Feral beasts.
We are just, smell my pheromones, woman. Yeah. I'm with you.
It took him that long to do it.
Who needs a Tempur-Pedic mattress when you have a bed of pine needles?
That's right.
I think that should be an advertisement for an outdoor company.
I was going to say for who? Because I was trying to figure out.
REI. Who needs a Tempur-Pedic when you have pine needles?
The world is your Tempur-Pedic mattress.
Well, no, REI would never do that, because REI probably sells fucking Tempur-Pedic mattresses. They
true.
can't sell pine needles, because if they did that for an advertisement, they'd be like, "Don't come here. You got all you need in nature."
Which is the truth. Wouldn't you say that that's the truth, though? Are we trying to expose REI here, Tex?
Well, I would say 99% yes, except for my line of knives and windproof matches, Tex Montana survival gear. Other than that, most of what's at REI is overpriced bullshit for yuppies who take fucking weekend excursions into the fucking Connecticut fucking backwoods.
Well, totally. Well, and that's not
Or Canada, like in the movie.
Yeah, and that's not a survival type situation. That's more of a hey, let's just have a sampling. Let's sample what nature has brought us.
Yeah, it's really. If you're just doing a couple of days, it's just you're just testing it out, and then you come back and say, I was in the woods all weekend.
Let's find a campsite. Let's back our cars back up to it. Open up the back of the Volvo. Get our stuff out. Put it right up. Have some amazing steaks on the grill. We'll sleep in these woods. Perfect outdoor weekend. No,
that's not
right?
really it. You got to lose yourself.
That's surviving.
You got to kind of Chris McCandless it for a while. Just sort of wander out into nothingness and see what you're made of. And maybe like him, you're not made of it, but you got to see. You got to see.
Do you got to see?
I think
Have you done it?
Yes.
Tyler did the Appalachian Trail.
Not the whole thing. No, I've only done like
not the whole thing.
Is
there any other thing than the whole thing?
I
did the Appalachian Trail. Well, some of it. I did the part where you go up and then you come back down to the Waffle House on the fucking side of the road.
That's
and you
right.
say, boy, I just walked up to the trail.
I got enough for the AT sticker on the back of my car.
That's right.
First of all, all due respect to the Appalachian Trail, if it's called a trail, it ain't fucking surviving.
No.
It's in the name. It's a trail. Okay? The only way you're going to truly taste nature is to get off the trail. If you want a little amuse-bouche, you go on your little fucking marked pathways and you could see a fucking squirrel and maybe a nut will fall on your head. I'm sorry. It's just there's a difference between going outside and surviving. It just depends on what you want.
Where do you think the sweet spot is for where you truly learn about the wilderness? How long do you have to stay before you know I've got this? I know what it's like. I've tasted nature. Where do you take the first sip of nature? At what point? If it's not a weekend, how long do you have to go, my friend?
It's not about duration, okay? It's about geography. It's about proximity to a gas station or a fucking cabin in the woods. Okay, we're talking about if you can't walk to safety before you die of starvation, you're in the fucking wild.
You definitely are.
You are in the wild. Now, if you just get fucking lost because you're an idiot and the whole time salvation was in 14 different directions and you just kept walking around in a dumbass circle, well, you probably deserve what you get.
We actually saw a movie what was the movie we saw where they drove around and they got lost over the course of a day? What movie was that, Brian? Do you remember?
Jerry? Was that Jerry?
It was British.
Oh, the
In Fear.
In Fear, yeah, totally.
Yes.
God, why do I know more about fucking horror movies than you guys?
It's
It's
ridiculous.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. But
It's because I do my research. I didn't know. I hadn't seen a single horror movie before I came on this tonight.
How many did you watch?
I've seen them all.
Every one.
every one of them.
No, I didn't see them all.
But you did watch In Fear.
In Fear is on the to-do list. It's the you got.
No, I didn't even watch it. I just read a lot of synopsis, so I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah. I know people who do that with Game of Thrones. They don't read the books; they just read the synopsis, and that's good enough.
Yeah, that's what separates us, though. Too. I mean, there's a bunch of things that separate us, but the idea that you can take so much away from just a little bit of information, which is kind of, what probably makes you a great survivalist too, is that all you need is a little bit of information. You don't need everything to make you get you through the night. Just a little bit of information, and you'll make it on your own.
Just a tiny little bit, like that is a giant bear footprint. Let me go the opposite direction of the way in which its claws are facing.
That's
it.
good
It's
advice.
just a simple deduction. Its feet is facing this way. That's a pretty big bear. I'm going to go the other way.
As I was watching this movie, and there was one point where after the, my spoiler alert, the bear, I announced that. Don't listen.
Spoiler.
The bear has there's been some mauling. She sees a deer. My thoughts are, I've always been told that deers are basically the Uber of the forest. So if you could jump onto one, they'll take you to safety. Is that correct?
It's a unicorn, I think.
You are just, I feel like you're reading my fucking mind here. I have down in my notes, let me read it to you word for word. First, I said, is she trying to control that deer with her mind? Because she was holding her hand out like fucking Crocodile Dundee when he was trying to make that water buffalo go to sleep in like the first. And I was like, you're not going to get that deer to come and pick you up by using your mind. Second, I thought I could. And I have. You can. I mean, if you got a decent sized buck, it's no different than a horse. You can ride it straight out.
That's what I kept waiting for. It's like, is she going to ride this deer out to safety? Because if deers know one thing, it's like, how do I run from shit that's scaring me?
I love the fact that you keep pluralizing deers. Like that's a real fucking thing.
Deers will.
You said deers like 3 times, and I was going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but no, you just kept on doing it.
Deers.
Deers.
I'm just a slave to habit. It's just, I'm sorry.
He's
So it's a habit to always say deer wrong?
As a city slicker, yeah, it is. I'm not used to seeing deers.
Nope.
That's still wrong.
You did it again.
Even if you put the pause in there, it's still wrong.
I was about to say, like, I know people who have lived their whole fucking life in Manhattan, and they know that you don't throw an S on the end of deer. It's just known. I think that's like fucking 5-year-old shit.
All right, listen, I'll go ahead and admit that I'm nervous. I'm talking to a TV legend. It's, I'm trying to pretend.
Hey, loosen up. I'm just like everybody else, except that I won't fucking die.
Or add a S onto the end of deer.
Won't incorrectly pull up deer.
Right, there you go. So, it's just one of those things. It's a nervous.
How do you think you're ever going to ride a deer if you don't even know how to spell the pluralization of deer? I mean, you got to start with the basics. You gotta crawl before you can ride a deer.
You're right. I completely apologize to all our listeners who be listening. I failed that part of the.
You can't survive, Brian. Let's just say.
I'll be the first to admit that I would not be able to survive. As soon as I saw that bear show up, I'd be like, well, I'd have pissed on myself, not just to warn the bear that I was peeing, but that I was just that scared.
Honestly, if you'd have accidentally pissed yourself because that bear was there, you might have survived.
Yeah.
It might have smelled your disgusting urine that I imagine is about the color of fucking like a rotted orange, because you just probably don't drink any water. I can tell you don't drink no fucking water.
All beer.
All beer and energy drinks.
All beer and deer.
So many energy drinks.
Nailed it.
I think the bear would have thought you were a kinship. Would have thought you were a family.
I am very hairy, so he probably would
rip your shirt off and have been.
He's like, "Oh, sorry, bro."
Bears of all types think Brian are kin to him.
Right.
I mean, bears on the street see him and go, "I think he's like me.
Right
I think
on,
we're the same."
I
highly doubt that.
They give me that. They give me the fist of like, right on, brother.
Bears are noble creatures.
Brian,
they would see you. They'd take one look at you and they'd be like, that's one meal. That's one meal for the whole fucking winter right there. I don't even have to fucking do any more hunting. I could just save that meat.
Yeah.
Drag that back to my fucking cave and just nosh on it. Just give it a quick nosh every now and again.
Just nosh. I'm feeling peckish. I'm gonna be a little. I'm peckish over the winter because I'm hibernating.
By the way, and that bear attack was fairly brutal.
Yeah.
But did it eat anything, or did it just shred him? Did it just when I got the feeling watching that bear, looking at that guy's body after the bear had killed him, I got the feeling of like a terrible chef who just totally wastes a good salmon, trying to cut it with a dull knife and just shredding it, and then the scales are everywhere and the bones are all broken and the meat is all punctured and you're killing. I mean, it just seemed like a waste. I almost wanted to teach the bear how to get the most out of his human meal. It just seemed like a lot of meat left on them bones.
He must have been a young bear. He's still learning how to be bear-like.
Was it a real bear?
Some of it was a real bear.
Some of it was definitely a real bear.
Maybe it was Bart the bear, the same one they used from.
Oh, you don't know nothing about bears. Bart the bear was an American brown bear, a grizzly bear. Okay, he's about twice the size of that little puny black bear that was in this movie. Bart the bear also passed away from cancer at the age of 20.
R.I.P.
God rest his soul.
R.I.P. in peace.
R.I.P. in peace. Mr. Doug Seuss, his trainer, also raised a baby cub in his absence named Tank, which you might have seen in, I believe, the Dr. Dolittle films and a couple of other ones. But Bart was a truly magnificent bear actor.
Is Bart in Legends of the Fall?
He was in Legends of the Fall and The Edge, 2 movies with Anthony Hopkins, which is exactly 2 more movies than you've been in with Anthony Hopkins.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
He also was on the fucking Oscars stage. Do you remember that?
No.
They did a tribute to animal actors, and that motherfucking grizzly bear came out on the stage, which would have been amazing if he ate like fucking
everybody.
I don't know, Julia
that would have been
Roberts.
the highest rated Oscars ever.
Would have been like the Seth MacFarlane Oscars, and
just completely tore into everyone.
Or Seth MacFarlane.
He'd have been, or Seth MacFarlane, yeah. Or he'd been like, "Hey, unlike Seth MacFarlane, I'm not going to tear into you hypothetically. I'm going to tear into you literally."
It might have helped David Letterman at his Oscars if it had stopped him from the Oprah Uma joke.
Right.
Do you think the third act went on too long? Do you think there was too much time after the attack where she wanders in the woods, or do you think that was meant to convey that, like, oh shit, is she going to die or not?
That
Exactly.
Yeah. I started to wonder. Especially once she got away from the bear. I started to really anticipate really silly moments when the bear would pop back up, like when she finally saw the canoe. The bear's under the canoe,
like Jason Voorhees situation. Like I kind of imagine when she got in the canoe that it would be like a Jason situation where it flies out of the water and pulls her out. That would be awesome. Like you think she's safe, but really it's Jason Bear.
Yeah.
With the hockey mask on. The bear with the hockey mask on.
That would be
No,
amazing.
actually, I thought the third act was pretty brisk since that's basically when I was fast forwarding through it.
Yeah, it does go brisk if you fast forward through it.
I can't imagine. I only imagine what it's like to watch this from the perspective of being someone who has lived in the woods for any length of time, and think to myself like, Jesus, I can't imagine watching this and pointing out all the flaws that are going on with this. Like,
what was the most egregious flaw in the movie?
That's what I was getting at.
What do you think is the most egregious survival? I mean, from someone, these people, they at the end of the day, they weren't survivalists. At the end of the day, they went back to a hotel. They didn't live it. It was fake for them. They were totally fake. What do you think was the biggest mistake?
Oh, hubris is always your biggest mistake when you go out in the wild. You think you know what you're doing, and nature says fuck you. Okay, you never know. You never know. Even I don't know. I'm the greatest survivalist who's fucking alive right now, and I don't know what's going to be thrown at me by Mother Nature. You never know what she's going to do. I mean, hell, I stubbed my toe this morning. It hurt like a motherfucker. Now, if I was out in the woods and I stubbed my toe like that idiot did and had to pull his own toenail off and then left his bloody sock on a tree, I mean, it's just one stupid fucking move after another. And that's the problem is like, I wish someone would ask me to be on one of these shows for like a movie that had nothing to do with bears and nothing to do with the woods, because it's all I can see is the flaws. I mean, show me like a submarine movie or something. I'd be like, I'm just riveted by the story because I don't understand the workings of a World War II submarine.
Do Das Boot with him.
That's true.
The long version.
Maybe that's the movie you should make. You're talking about that's the movie you should make. You should make something that's totally out of your realm of expertise. You should make something underwater. You think? Like
underwater is exactly my realm of expertise. I'm just saying not in a submarine. I know all about being underwater. Okay, there's 80% of this fucking planet. You think I can't survive in the water?
Didn't you have an episode about that? I think you did. I think you had like on a raft kind of survive. I don't remember.
No, it wasn't on a raft. It was just floating. I was just in the water. 7 days.
Yeah, you made yourself into a raft, if I remember.
I did. I took my jeans off and I blew air into them. I tied up the leg holes. I blew air into them and I made a floaty out of it. And that kept me afloat for the 7 days. Okay, it's not.
It was a great episode.
It's incredible.
And it was inspired by Open Water, which this movie was like another, was exactly like too. Just two fucking idiots who are in love, who go do something stupid that they can't handle. You know what they should do? Go to Dave and Buster's and fucking call it a night.
Right. I just think it's weird that he took her to the woods to propose. Like, I just think that's such a weird trip, especially for somebody who from the very get-go was entirely against this trip. Like, from the very get-go, I guess it just speaks, like, I think that's, if I can say, like, something was really well written about this, it would be that, I think, that, like, it speaks to how tone-deaf this guy is about everything. Like, I can only imagine that their relationship was going to end in some kind of horrible thing. Maybe not a bear attack, but it was going to end horribly for both of them.
The relationship was going to end in marriage.
Which is kind of like a bear attack.
And she yelled, "You're a loser. You screw up everything." I mean, that summed up what
Or was she just being an asshole? Like, was she
My notes for that were, "Ooh, this is real talk. This is real shit going. This is worse than a bear attack."
That relationship was doomed before the bear. Honestly, I felt like I saw a glimmer of fucking relief in her eye when she saw his fucking shredded corpse, because she was like, "Oh my God, I just saved myself like fucking 15 years." Before we finally just got divorced, before I called him a fucking loser who fucking ruins everything at least 4 or 5 more times, and then I said, "I'm sorry, I don't mean that. I was just kidding." Yeah, I mean, it was all fucking selfish, right? He took her to the woods where she clearly was uncomfortable, where she packed all kinds of fucking shit because she was certain she was going to die. She did not want to be there. And that was his idea of a proposal. Now, call me crazy, but if you're going to propose to your girl, maybe you should be somewhere that she's enjoying herself.
Like an Olive Garden.
I mean, like an Olive Garden.
Or
there
a Cheesecake Factory.
You know, it's like if my friend, if one of my friends was like, I'm going to propose to you at the fucking Jets game. He'd be like, well, great. You finally proposed to me. That's awesome. But you had to do it at a fucking Jets game?
With this asshole spilling beer and peanuts on me, spitting hot dog into my hair. Yeah, great idea, guy.
But you know what I love? I was waiting for, first of all,